This is the story of how a young boy was inspired by legends of the game like Haksal and Who Are You to master Overwatch's Cyborg Ninja, and in less than 5 years went from beginning his career in the depths of Tier 4 to toppling giants on the big stage. This is the story of American Flex-DPS prodigy, Proper's apprentice, Crazy Raccoon's nightmare, and certified Genji god, Zeruhh. In 2016, Blizzard Entertainment released Overwatch, their first new IP in well over a decade, which was a global game changer for players all over the world, young and old. If you've been around the Overwatch scene since the beginning, you'd know that a lot has changed since Overwatch launched. Hell, since the beta. But specifically in the realm of Overwatch's esports, the environment and game itself are drastically different now from what we became accustomed to over the course of Overwatch's lifespan so far. Longtime fans likely remember Flex-DPS players like Shadowburn, Libero, and EQO, but time stops for no one, and as these notable players have left the game over the years, fresh new talent has come along through Contenders and into OWCS to fill those shoes, such as the topic of today's spotlight, who was an 11-year-old in 6th grade during Overwatch League's inaugural season. I can't be the only one suddenly feeling ancient. Known for his impressive displays on Flex-DPS heroes like Genji, Tracer, and Echo, Zeruhh has cemented himself as a core member of Nightmare in the North American region of the Overwatch Champions Series, who has had many respectable results throughout 2024 as well as this year as they prepare to head to Hangzhou for the Stage 1 playoffs. Although he isn't the most celebrated player just yet, it would be disrespectful to say that Zeruhh is an up-and-coming talent, as he's proven time and time again that he can stand toe-to-toe with the best players in the world, which is why today's Pro Player Spotlight will be diving into Zeruhh, his story, and his aspirations for the future. Please enjoy. The Overwatch World Cup is more than just an esports event, it's culture. It brings people in from all across the globe and forces them into one tightly knit community, which was a major way for Blizzard to kickstart the game's esports scene worldwide with one event back in 2016, only a few months after launch. Of course, the Overwatch World Cup drew the eyes of countless professional gamers across the globe, many of whom practiced diligently and trialed tirelessly in order to represent their nation on the big stage. Well, maybe not for 2016 unless you were on Team South Korea, but nonetheless, one such person was the young Ecuadorian American Xavier Zambrano, who goes by the alias Zeruhh. At the time of the 2017 Overwatch World Cup, Zeruhh was far too young to compete, but that didn't stop him from watching the likes of Jake, Coolmat, Raucus, and the rest of the Team USA squad and imagining what it would be like to be in their shoes.
I remember when I started getting into Overwatch, the Overwatch World Cup was a big thing that was happening when I first started watching the game, and obviously getting to represent your home country is a really big privilege and honor. So I remember watching Team USA play versus South Korea. I was watching it with my dad back in 2017, and I feel like that's kind of a core memory for me. So I definitely want to try and make that goal come true. For me, I feel like I've always been a very competitive person, very competitively driven. So I guess when I first started playing Overwatch back in the 4th grade, I remember watching the end of Overwatch Contenders with Envy, FaZe, all that, and then the creation of the Overwatch League really made me want to compete and try and make a Overwatch League my goal.
As a young Zeruhh observed his precursors on stage, his competitive nature drove him to naturally crave to be at the highest level, with him deciding that he would one day represent Team USA at the Overwatch World Cup and later adding Overwatch League to his professional bucket list. But it wouldn't be easy, and a competitive mindset would be required, because not everyone can be a ranked demon who walks into the dugout and exudes limitless aura on Zenyatta. No, for most players who wanted their go at Overwatch League, It would be an absolute grind through the grueling and unforgiving gauntlet formerly known as the Overwatch Path to Pro. The Overwatch Path to Pro was Blizzard's take on a lower-tiered competitive Overwatch pipeline, with the end goal of being a vehicle for players to use to build their skills, accrue wins and acclaim, and hopefully find their way into a juicy Overwatch League contract. The Path to Pro consisted of 3 tiers, with the lowest being Open Division, where, as the name implies, the division was completely open to all players regardless of rank or career success. You could consider this Tier 4. Tier 3, and the next step up in Path to Pro, would be Overwatch Contenders Trials, which was the promotion and relegation league in between Open Division and Tier 2, Contenders. Overwatch Contenders was the final stretch of the Overwatch Path to Pro, with most Overwatch League teams selecting players almost exclusively from Contenders. Needless to say, this was where Zeruhh would need to get if he wanted a chance to compete in the highest tier of Overwatch esports. But it would take a whole lot more than just getting there.
I don't know. I feel like there's always like a aspect of luck when it comes to Path to Pro and like making it up. For me, it was like pretty fast moving. Like I played on like a team where we didn't really try that hard in like Tier 3, and then I got noticed. I got scouted to Contenders, and for me, like the work ethic changed a lot. Like once I made it to like Tier 2 and above, there's a lot more scrimming, a lot more practicing. Like there's like a big shift for me. And then as you know, as like time went on, I continued to like improve, playing with better players, really work hard to work my way up the ladder. So it's been pretty stressful, but it's overall like a good experience.
Zeruh's competitive Overwatch journey began in Open Division on a team called Gorilla Grip Gaming back in August of 2020, which had the likes of Bun and even a current teammate of Zeruh's, Clear, whose frontline Zeruhh has been playing behind for nearly his entire career. Their first outing in Open Division Season 4 didn't go so well, only managing a 13th through 16th place finish. But only 2 months later, Gorilla Grip would be back for Open Division Season 5, where they would explode up into 2nd place and qualify for Contenders Trials November, which would be Zeruh's first taste of Tier 3 competition. Gorilla Grip rebranded to No Evil and finished their first Contenders Trials season with a 5th place finish in Group B, but would then compete in the Contenders Gauntlet only a month later, marking Zeruh's first Tier 2 event. The Contenders Gauntlet of 2020 was a unique tournament due to its format, with 64 teams participating in the qualifiers for the whopping cash prize of $2,000 USD. Most players weren't there for the money, however, as the Gauntlet, being a Tier 2 event, was also a way for teams and players to show off in order to attract the attention of Overwatch League scouts. Despite having only a few months of competition under his belt, none of which was at the Contenders level, Zeruhh and No Evil managed an extremely respectable 8th to 5th place finish. But as I said before, the path to Pro wasn't always going to be that quick and easy to navigate, as Zeruhh wouldn't even touch Tier 3, let alone Tier 2, for the entirety of 2021. Zeruhh would begin 2021 still writing the success story of No Evil, but the story seemed to have hit a plot twist, with the team struggling in Open Division Season 1 and finishing 9th to 12th. With Open Division Season 2 coming around, No Evil would rebrand / go on hiatus, as the vast majority of players like Zeruhh, Clear, and Bun would form a new team called Hokago Tea Time. This team, however, didn't fare any better, yet again achieving an unenthusiastic 9th to 12th. This trend of rebranding with Bun and Clear would continue throughout basically the entirety of 2021, with yet another 9th to 12th place finish in Open Division Season 3, and then picking up Infected along the way for the revival of No Evil, where they would achieve 2nd in a monthly tournament and then retire the name forever. So while 2021 wasn't exactly Zeruh's year, he continued to grind diligently, with his final team of 2021, Bearclaw Gaming, taking him into 2022 with hopes of greater success and a road out of Tier 4. Bearclaw played together in miscellaneous tournaments for the first 4 months of 2022, some more serious than others, but almost all of which featured a handful of the top non-Overwatch League talent in North America. During this stretch of time, Bearclaw was actually somewhat cooking. Other than the Last Ride Invitational, Zeruhh wouldn't finish lower than 4th in a tournament for the first 4 months of 2022. This stretch of solid performances must have attracted the attention of players and staff in Contenders, as in May of 2022, Zeruhh would finally ascend to Tier 2 and join his very first Contenders team, completely leapfrogging the promotion process of Contenders Trials altogether.
My first Contenders team was Pirates in Pajamas, and on that team I felt like the main player people looked at. Like I got like a lot of the resources from the team, and so I felt pretty like noticed there. But then as time went on and I moved to OWWC. That was like a team with like Tree, where everyone was like, you know, really like hyped about Tree, like deservedly so. I remember we had like a running joke on the team where like Tree could like call like the fight plans, kill everybody, like because he was getting all that recognition. Not exactly how it went, but obviously Tree was like a god in Contenders. He's still a god now. Yeah, we had like a little running joke that no matter what I did, he would like get all the spotlight for it, which was fine, you know, as long as I'm helping my team win.
Zeruh and the rest of Pirates in Pajamas would have a decent time in Contenders 2022, achieving 5th to 6th in the Summer Series A sides and a 3rd place finish in the B sides alongside LH Cloudy and Aspen. Yeah, like that Aspen. Zeruh's time with Pirates in Pajamas ended in October of 2022, with Zeruh taking another step in his journey and moving over to OWWC, where he would play with the likes of Tree, Vega, CJ, Vulcan, and more, making this OWWC roster by far the best roster Zeruh had been a part of since starting his career 2 years prior. This wouldn't be the first time Zeruh played alongside notable Contenders, Overwatch League, or even future OWCS talent, but it might be the first time Zeruh wasn't considered to be the standout player on his roster, with the likes of Tree beginning to soak up a lot of the spotlight not just for OWWC, but for the entire region. Feeling like you're in someone's shadow can often feel disheartening, especially as a highly competitive individual, but Zeruh took this opportunity to learn from his more experienced teammates in order to continue improving on his path to pro.
Yeah, I mean, definitely surrounding yourself with better players will like really help you improve. I think that's like a big thing. It's just being around like players with more experience and I guess like a higher skill ceiling. Like Tree is like really high skill ceiling. I think playing with him definitely pushed me to continue like improving. So I'd say playing with Tree definitely helped with that.
Zeruh had a solid run with OWWC, achieving 2nd in the Contenders 22 Run It Back tournament and 1st in a handful of smaller tournaments along the way. Zeruh would win one final Game Battles tournament in February of 2023 before leaving OWWC and joining Afterlife with Haven, Rhino, Iron, Grapes, and Pink, where he and the team would put up average performances in the Spring and Summer Series of Contenders 2023, achieving 5th to 6th both times.
Zeruh's going to get a health reset here. Now has to 1v1 Sam. You expect that Sam should win this. But,
They missed the dash.
my
Oh
God.
my god. That's insane. That's insane. And they get a contest for this. They pulled them so far back. Wait, Iron's got a real shot. Zeruh with some fancy
got another.
Genji forward.
You got
Another third. Okay, it might not be a Blade 5K, but that was, I think that was arguably way more impressive. Oh my god, it's a 5-stone, no Sans Blade. That was way more impressive than the Blade earlier.
We talked so much about all the clutch potential on Saints. I mean, we're just not giving enough credit to Zeruh. 28 final blows. That's crazy.
I mean, that is a ridiculous statistic. Out of 33 kills. Like, that's not even just out of a lot of eliminations going on in the lobby. That is out of 33 eliminations that Zeruh has touched.
Zeruh wouldn't officially leave Afterlife until January of 2024, but it doesn't actually appear that the team played together outside of Contenders that year, with Zeruh playing for a plethora of different teams throughout the latter half of 2023, even ending up in the Asia Pacific region for the Contenders Fall Series, where he and his team Heaven Sent ended up taking home 3rd place in what would be his final Contenders tournament ever. 2022 and 2023 weren't too shabby for Zeruh. He made steady progress up through the different levels of competition and gained some attention from higher level teams and players, which would prove to be a blessing as we headed into the next era of Overwatch esports.
And now that we close this chapter, I think we should all just look back at it and remember the moments that took our breath away. We have to remember the friendships we got to form and the lessons that we learned. So from all of us, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being a part of this incredible journey. It's been an honor, a privilege, and a joy to share this experience with all of you. Thank you so much.
As many of you know, the 2023 Overwatch League season would be its last, with Blizzard and the majority of team ownership coming to the conclusion that Overwatch League needed to be shut down and replaced with a new system. This was quite a shock to a lot of people, as Overwatch League seemed to be quite an exceptional product from a viewer's perspective. But taking a peek behind the curtains would reveal Overwatch League's fundamental issue: money. See, the league was entering its 6th year, and there were only a few teams that were ever profitable throughout its lifespan, not to mention the tens of millions of dollars that teams had to put down just to exist in the league that they probably never even saw a fraction of come back into their wallets. It appeared to be a sinking ship, which was an absolute tragedy for players like Zeruh, who possessed the skill, talent, and drive to be in the league, but lacked the experience or, well, age to compete. With Overwatch League and Path to Pro no longer in the cards, the future was uncertain for not only players in Zeruh's position, but even Overwatch League players, as they no longer had valid contracts for the next year of, well, whatever it's gonna be. The wait wasn't too long though, and we began hearing news about the brand new Overwatch Champions series in the late months of 2023. A brand new format, free of franchising and ripe with opportunity, was slowly revealed to the community to mixed reception.
We're going to have 3 regions of competitions that are open to players across North America, Europe, Middle East, and North Africa, or EMEA, and Asia. Each region's competition is going to contain multiple open qualifiers and regional tournaments. These regional tournaments will determine the top teams in each of our regions that will be competing at our 2 live events that we'll be having across the year that will be bringing the best players in the world together to compete.
For me, when OWCS was announced, honestly, I wasn't very hopeful because my goal was to always make the Overwatch League. I really wanted to join the Overwatch League, but by the time the last season started, I was still too young to compete. I think it was 16, so I didn't make the cutoff to try and get on an OWL team. And then at that point, I was kind of at a low point in my career for Contenders. I wasn't my teams weren't doing so well. It was pretty hard, so I was pretty worried that I wouldn't get recognized or scouted to a performing OWCS team. So I was pretty nervous and skeptical of how OWCS was going to treat me, I guess.
For a player like Zeruh, who had yet to taste what the highest echelon of Overwatch esports was like, a situation like this can be both exciting and nerve-wracking, as the end of Overwatch League made for the most confusing and chaotic roster mania the esport may have ever seen. Zeruh would just have to hope that there were lots of teams looking for players, on top of having to fight for a seat against not just the top American Flex-DPS players like Sugarfree and Tree, but also against foreign players who could be imported to North America to take the seats that could have been his.
Oh, I mean, it was very, very chaotic. From what I remember, I kind of tried to forget about all that. But from what I remember, it was I had the Gunba project team that I was on. It was YFP, and obviously M80 had a problem where they lost their Flex DPS player, and then my DPS duo Top Dragon got scouted. So then my team's blowing up, and then I joined M80 as a sub. And then 5 minutes later, they dropped the whole roster and pick up a different roster. It was it was a very hectic time. It was very scary, especially because this was my first impression of OWCS, where I'm being tossed around everywhere. I have no stable home.
The clock was ticking, and he needed something to start the OWCS era with a bang. While the inaugural season of OWCS may have been accompanied by an unpredictable roster mania, the teams that Zeruh eventually landed on ended up being exactly what he needed for people outside of scrims to start realizing that this guy was the real deal. The first team that Zeruh found himself on in the OWCS era was a ragtag team of Overwatch League refugees such as Seeker, Mirror, Liar, and MCD, with the additions of Top Dragon and Zeruh himself. Going by the name WD40 in the Swiss bracket before rebranding to LFO, which stands for Looking for Organization, this was a roster that might have even rivaled the lower-end Overwatch League teams of Season 6, like the Vegas Eternal and LA Valiant. This is reinforced by placing second in the Swiss bracket as WD40, only losing out in the end to the last bastion of the Overwatch League at the time, the Toronto Defiant, to go on and finish 7th through 8th in Stage 1 as LFO. But as Zeruh mentioned, Roster Mania didn't actually end when the season began with the Swiss bracket, and their roster was poached to pieces by the time Stage 2 rolled around. Now appropriately rebranded to Fuck My Chungus Life and picked apart by opportunistic vultures, Zeruh and Seeker remained as the only original members from Stage 1 and would actually go on to have a better result with a 5th to 6th place finish. Zeruh quickly got scooped up by Timeless, who put together an impromptu roster for the Face It Master Road to EWC, where they would finish 3rd before disagreements within the team caused Timeless to part ways with their roster. This left the players somewhat high and dry, wondering if all their hard work to qualify had been for nothing. But with the final strike of Roster Mania madness, Zeruh and his Timeless teammates would be taken in by his new home for the next year and a half and counting, Nightmare. Zeruh's introduction to Nightmare was a big one, as the org picked him and the rest of Timeless up following their strong Esports World Cup qualification. This signing of the Timeless roster meant business for Nightmare, as the org had previously only fielded a one-trick team by the name of Nightmare Rotation. On top of being Nightmare's first serious stint as a competitive organization, the Esports World Cup would not only be the org's first LAN event, but Zeruh's as well. With teams having the chance to earn tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, this was Zeruh and Nightmare's first big chance to take the stage and pop off against the best teams in the world. But with a 5-man roster that was still fairly new and very little LAN experience between all 5 players, performing well at the Esports World Cup was going to be a tall task. And that it was, with Nightmare finishing 13th through 16th, but still taking home $10,000 in valuable first-hand LAN experience, which is absolutely huge for any aspiring pro player.
And it is going to be not enough for Zeruh. He gets in his barrage as well. It takes down Ilari. Zeruh takes down the ramp. This could be it already. Let's see how quickly the respawns are coming in. Nice boop there as well. And it is enough to bring Nightmare through. What a boop from the Pharaoh. That is an absolute match winner right there.
Well, EWC, you know, it was my first international LAN, and no better way to have my first international LAN than to be like overseas. It was definitely an amazing experience. I think I was very nervous going into it because it was my first experience on the international stage, but traveled to a beautiful country, Saudi Arabia. Was great experience. We worked really hard. We had like a boot camp in Miami. We worked really hard at our boot camp, and then in Saudi to try and make sure we were feeling confident going into it, because going into a match confident like really helps relieve some of the nerves.
Yeah, Virtus.pro might be wise to keep something in the bank here, as the Flux does come out. Zeruh will keep it contested. B and Nano used here, so Nightmare a bit too keen on that trigger finger. Now Rock onto Infected as well. They have to use the bot, they have to use everything, and both teams are using everything. It's do or die here right now. The beat onto the point allows Virtus.pro to stabilize. Zeruh still lurking, keeping this robot contested. The Primal's about to expire. Now they walk forward. Infected just bubbles on point, bullies him back. The pulse bomb is perfect from Zeruh, but Sauna's got 2 as well. The trades are good. Sauna gets another one. Shockwave is still there. For Bob on point. It's just Zeruh. The DPS from Virtus.pro. They sealed the deal. Unbelievable.
Nightmare would leave Saudi Arabia with a chip on their shoulder, Infected in their front line, and plenty of work to do as they would begin preparing to finish out the rest of the OWCS season.
Seeker comes out with 2 in this fight. It's Nightmare. They do end up losing Zeruh. Someone switches over to Doom. They can still win this fight if they can touch, but they don't. Are you serious? Nightmare get off the point. Toronto Defiance.
Nightmare would finish the rest of 2024 by placing 3rd in Stage 3 and 2nd in Stage 4 to earn themselves a spot at the Stockholm LAN event in the inaugural OWCS playoffs.
Orbital Ray and a rally advantage here for Admiral. Looks like Toronto want to go first. High Noon's coming out. What a deflect from Sugarfree though. Seeker's already down. The blade has been popped. Through Paul falls as Sugarfree just carving them asunder. Nightmare are going to fall as Toronto Defiance. They're going to defend their throne against Nightmare. A 7-map series going all the way to 3 rounds as they manage to do it. Toronto Defiant win it all. Stage after stage, they will not be deposed.
Stockholm was like, kind of knew how things were, like the routine and what to expect from an international LAN. So that definitely helped a lot. I felt more like comfortable going into it. It was a bit different because in EWC, we were one of the like only teams that like didn't get to plan a stage. I'm pretty sure only 2 teams didn't get to plan a stage, and we were like one of those teams because of how the scheduling worked. So that was my first stage experience. It was a bit different, but overall I felt pretty comfortable with it.
Zeruh and Nightmare would fall 0-3 against NRG Shock, ending their season with a 5th to 6th place finish.
Zeruh's going to be forced back now, but just kept it alive for a time. It does flip. NRG are in control, and here comes a wrecking ball from Infected. Looks to drop him, but Stingjay's already gone down, and Admiral's not far behind him. Rampage weren't even required for Kellen, is at the ready. Seeker the only 1 kill found here for Nightmare as Kellen looks to clean things up. NRG Shock keep the fire burning in this lower bracket.
While it may not have been the result they personally wanted, it was still a damn good job just getting all the way to Stockholm and securing themselves a nice $30,000 cash prize. This would very nearly put the cap on 2024 for Zeruh and Nightmare, except they still had one more in them, achieving a 1st place finish in Faceit League Season 3 North America's Master Division. And finally, with a silly plot twist to truly end 2024, Zeruh and most of the Nightmare roster would compete in the Faceit Overdrive Cup in December and take the dub against none other than Nightmare Rotation in the Grand Finals. 2024 was an incredible turnaround for Zeruh, achieving a smattering of tournament wins, match MVPs, respectable earnings, and a reliable roster that has potential to push even farther. But in the world of esports, nothing is ever guaranteed, and with teams coming and going day by day and players being shuffled around by the hour, Zeruh couldn't be certain that he would retain his seat on Nightmare or even receive offers from other teams. All there was to do was wait and hope.
There was a bit of, I guess, like there was like a thought in the back of my mind, like maybe I don't end up on a team, or I get like screwed over. I kind of had to trust the process.
Having not even been a year since the WD-40 M80 FMCL debacle, Zeruh's internal clock was probably warning him that it wasn't long before his team would be poached, but not this offseason.
I knew I performed well last year, and I just had to trust that I would see my like potential and like my growth from last year. And I guess my faith paid off, considering I did end up on a team, like a very talented team. So I was a bit afraid, but it all worked out.
No, you see, Nightmare had fully planted their feet in the sand, retaining Zeruh, Clear, and Admiral from the 2024 roster, and making the additions of Kuffa on tank, Lethal and Vision on DPS, and Ultraviolet on support to round out an incredibly strong and criminally underrated roster.
Well, for me, Nightmare is both versions of the roster last year and this year. It's like nothing but a pleasure to play with them. I'm really grateful last year's team and all we accomplished together, and now this year's team. I don't know, like we have a lot of pieces from last year's roster, and we have a lot of new pieces, and I feel like we've all really clicked together, and we all have been working super hard towards the same goal, and that's to be the best. So I have nothing but love and respect for my current teammates and my former teammates.
This new version of Nightmare is much scarier than the last, with the team flying through the 2025 Stage 1 qualifiers with relative ease, allowing them to advance to OWCS NA Stage 1, where Nightmare would finish second in the regular season due to map differential. This performance throughout Stage 1 allowed Nightmare to advance to the regional playoffs, where they would first take a loss to Team Liquid,
As they slowly just handed the game over to Team Liquid with a smile. And even gave them a discount. Brutal stuff. Team Liquid take the series with a ridiculous comeback on Esperanza, almost 100 meters plus for Nightmare.
before making a heroic lower bracket run, defeating the likes of Rad Esports and Timeless,
Your next match will be either SSG or the rematch against Team Liquid, if it happened to be the rematch. What was your biggest takeaway from the first go around?
Oh, I mean, the first go around in the playoffs was like an insane choke from us. Like it was really bad. I think it sucks to have to learn from that match in the playoffs, but I'm glad it happened early in the playoffs because I think we learned from it, and we are more prepared this time to like make a run back. I mean, China is always the goal. I think everyone's really confident in our team play right now, so I think we'll just go into whoever we play with confidence, and hopefully we'll take the championship.
after a close battle in the upper bracket, Space Station Gaming would defeat Team Liquid and send them down to the lower bracket, where Nightmare would be prepared to get the revenge elimination.
Beautifully done, and Team Liquid, I'm sorry, it's not just a nightmare, it's your damn reality. You are out of the running for China, and Nightmare have advanced to the Champions Clash.
Taking them into the grand finals, where they would face SSG in an intense best-of-7 match. A close map of Nepal started the grand finals off with a tough loss for Nightmare, but they would bounce back to deliver 2 swift defeats to SSG on Route 66 and Suravasa. Colosseo was next, and it wasn't as close for Nightmare, losing by over 70 meters. With the series tied up, it was Nightmare's map pick, so they took the match to Lijiang Tower and shut Liquid out 0-2.
Kuffa was hoping to be the bridge guardian here, the troll to keep SSG at bay, and Sugarfree passes on that pulse bomb. Zeruh, though, does him one better. Again, it's Seeker with a bit of press Q to respawn action at a pretty crucial time for SSG. When they needed him most, he was in small, bite-sized chunks. And Lethal strikes again, this time getting rid of Sugarfree. The Ash Cap is astro-bloody-nomical, and Nightmare will take us to match points.
Liquid then decided to try and recreate their push performance on the next map of Esperanza, but this time, Zeruh and the rest of Nightmare turned the tables.
Yeah, I mean, the nano's gonna have to be, you're gonna have to get crazy value out of this nano here from UV onto Kuffa. Seeker, though, potentially with an overclock, right? You can just start chunking down through that Winston's HP. Maybe you hit a Lucio at range, that could be a difference maker.
No connect on the pulse, nano Chase, and nano is dead! Chase Kellen down! The tip of the spear broken in twain, and Nightmare with the player advantage to work with. Seeker falls, and amongst the stars, all SSG find is a Nightmare they can't wake from. Out of nowhere, the Unpartnered Nightmare top the
the NA region. Top seed heading into China, and they get the big bucks. Congrats.
The number 1 seed in North America is Nightmare.
Shout out to the Nightmare DPS. They were consistently hitting above average. They were hitting their shots. They were hitting their pulse bombs, big blades.
I don't even know what's going through my head, to be honest. I can't stop like shaking. It's a pretty insane win. I can't lie. I think I'm very proud of the lads for staying composed and doing our jobs. We did what we needed to do.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. This was light work. This game, I have to admit.
Zeruhh, I wanted to ask you, as someone who's coached you, I want to ask about your journey over the past year. You started, honestly, started in the gutter. How does it feel to slowly work your way through all of the tribulations and the trials you've had to gone through to winning NA? How does that feel?
It's an incredible feeling, honestly. Last year, I think there was a lot of pressure on me when I started performing well and making the internationals. There was a pressure to keep on showing up at the internationals and to keep playing, like, and to keep improving, because I know how good I can be. I don't think I'm at my prime yet, so I want to keep improving. And yeah, overall, just super grateful for all my friends and family who encourage me to keep going every day. And I hope I manage to get MVP for this match. I don't know. We'll see.
You did.
I did? Oh my god.
Surprise. Yeah, player of the match.
Bro, it's just Flex-DPS bias, bro. I'll get my MVP once.
What do you mean?
One day.
I'm not even a nominee for the superstar.
You'll feed OTP, bro.
Not even a nominee.
Put my POV, guys, please.
Not only did Zeruhh achieve his first tournament victory in Tier 1, but he was also awarded Grand Finals MVP on top of taking home 5 total MVP awards throughout Stage 1, making him tied with Stalker for the most MVP awards worldwide for Stage 1. This victory was extra special due to the fact that Nightmare is an unpartnered team, unlike Team Liquid and Space Station, who they of course ended up defeating. This came as a big surprise to a lot of fans, as most people touted the partnered teams as the favorites to make it to the Stage 1 LAN event in China.
Insane. Shout out to Nightmare. I mean, like Mitch said, like they said, like this is the 3rd roster put together for NA. The first and second teams, they were partnered. Those were put together first, and Nightmare, they were the misfit toys. They were put together, and they just won NA. That is insane.
To compete against partner teams as an unpartnered one, it's a bit like demotivating and motivating at the same time. We thought we were going to have a partner spot, and last second it gets kind of taken away from us, which is pretty sad considering the now salary gap is huge between partner teams and unpartnered teams. I guess that makes us like more motivated to work hard and continue proving that we're not like leftovers that should have been forgotten.
With a burning passion to prove themselves, Nightmare geared up to head to Hangzhou, China to compete against the likes of Virtus Pro and Alcatzia from EMEA, Team Falcons and Crazy Raccoon from Korea, once again, and Team CC from China, and their North American rivals, Space Station Gaming. Being the first major tournament of 2025, teams were looking to put their foot down and establish dominance early with storylines galore to up the ante. Falcons would be looking to hold their crown, while Crazy Raccoon would be searching for the revenge match. The teams from China would be looking to put their entire region back on the map. Alcatzia and Nightmare would be looking to punch up at the partnered teams, with Space Station and Virtus Pro looking to hold them down. Needless to say, it was going to be an interesting event that Zeruhh and the squad had to prepare for diligently.
I'm looking forward to playing the European teams a lot. I kind of want to like that. Obviously, you know, there's like a NA rivalry, so obviously, you know, NA coming out on top is the goal. I have nothing but respect for those teams like Virtus Pro and Alcatzia. I think they're both very talented rosters, and I'm looking forward to see how they perform. I don't really know what the meta is going to be, but you know, just hopefully it's not Maga meta, because we did win last year in Maga meta. But maybe this year will be different. For the Korean teams, it's always like super fun playing versus the Korean teams, because like in scrims, you know, in scrims we played versus them a lot in our boot camp for Stockholm, and it was like really helpful. It was like really improving. So it's always like a pleasure to play versus the Korean teams. So I feel like we kind of know what to expect from them. I feel like our routine from practicing in stage 1 will not be too different. We triple blocked a lot, scrimming like 6 hours, and we VOD reviewed a lot. Like we put in a lot of work in practice. So I feel like keeping a consistent routine will help. We were always researching other teams and like trying to have like a good game plans of what to expect. So combining that with like a boot camp will definitely be at a good spot to compete in China.
Just before heading to China, Nightmare was off to Seoul to compete in their first international tournament together as a roster, Season 1 of the Soup Overwatch Cup, where they would take 4th place, falling to Wei in the 3rd place match. While it would have been nice to start their overseas adventure with a tournament win, the Soup Cup served as great practice, allowing Nightmare to play on LAN against the Korean teams that battled and fell to Crazy Raccoon and Team Falcons earlier in the season.
From North America,
With North America's first seed secured and the Soup Cup out of the way, it was time for Zeruhh and the team to head to the main event, the Overwatch Champions Series 2025 Champions Clash in Hangzhou, China, where Zeruhh and the rest of Nightmare would be looking to do the unthinkable. Nightmare would arrive in Hangzhou and take the big stage to first face off against one of the home teams in Team CC, which was composed of a variety of Chinese Overwatch veterans who had just been getting back into the game over the course of the few months prior. The Chinese vets got off to a hot start on Ilios Lighthouse, taking it all the way to 99% on both sides, but just when it seemed like a real nightmare was in the making for Zeruhh and his team, they clutched up, won the point, and then remembered that they didn't come here to lose to their unks. Ilios Well was swiftly taken by Nightmare without much of a struggle, with Nightmare showcasing their hazard composition into the famed Gaga Ball. Team CC would then take it to Suravasa, hoping to capitalize on their highly mobile composition, but the vets wouldn't find it so easy as Nightmare had suddenly turned into sleep paralysis demons in front of their home crowd.
This pulse one for Zeruhh. A little 3-0, is this what I'm seeing right now from Nightmare? Okay, really started feeling themselves on that second control point. Went 100 to 0. Zeruh's still got a pulse bomb in his back pocket. They got an annihilation too. I mean, this is just over, surely. Team CC have got nothing left. Annihilation rips, Gaga down, and well, Nightmare, they're just going to run away with it. A clean little 3-0 after the 2-0 of control. North America here to stay in China, as Lethal with a victory firework shooting up in the air. At overclock, not even required. Nightmare, 2-0 Team CC.
Nightmare looked very good in that particular match, and I know the home crowd is probably cheering for Team CC there.
Oh, they're silent now.
Team CC might have been a walk in the park, but Zeruh's next opponent wasn't going to be so easy. In fact, it probably couldn't get more difficult. Nightmare's next opponent would be Crazy Raccoon, one of the most decorated and successful Overwatch rosters of all time. Lip, Shu, Chorong, Hiseng, Junbin, and Max have countless awards, MVPs, and tournament wins under their belt, and they were coming into this event looking to retake the title of greatest team in the world back from Team Falcons after they came runner-up in the grand finals of OWCS last year in Stockholm. Needless to say, Zeruhh and the team had their work cut out for them, with hardly anyone predicting Nightmare to take a map, let alone win the series. It was going to take an absolute miracle or an absolute pop-off. Crazy Raccoon pulled the most unpredictable map pick of all time out of their designer bag and took map 1 to Ilios, where they would of course intend to set Junbin loose on the ball. Nightmare had a cold start on Well, but can you really blame them having to start the match playing into the Crazy Rack Ilios ball composition, aka the literal final boss of Overwatch esports? The next round would be Ruins, where Nightmare unfortunately got completely flattened. But at this point, everyone knows that if Crazy Raccoon is the higher seed, you're essentially starting the series down a map. So no harm, no foul, right?
It's all but over for Nightmare. A 2-0 on Ilios, starting off the series in this upper bracket strong.
Oh, So I was thinking maybe, just maybe, is there a way that Nightmare get back into that? But it just not possible. Crazy Raccoon look infallible at this moment in time.
Nightmare would take it to King's Row in order to lean into their hazard composition, and it was working like a charm through point A and sufficed through point B, but hit a wall on point C, with the team finally able to complete the escort in overtime.
For the Farah, Blade's been popped, the downpour is good for the connection with on Max. A nice little deflect kill on Lip as well. That's what I want to see, Zeruhh. Looks like she took a body shot there, so instantly pop the Transcenders. Max gets desuited there, so actually, this is looking really bad for Crazy Raccoon now. Pilot Diva down, shoot to follow. Zeruhh dashes to the skies to try and check Heesun and Lip on this high ground. Lip down, Farah next. Lethal secures the kill, and in overtime, Nightmare are gonna cap.
Well, what do they say about this team? This is a team that never gives up.
Overall though, this was already a massive bounce back from Ilios. Crazy Raccoon's turn to attack, and they decided to just put the diva in the bag, bro, and had Max mirror Kuffa on the hazard. Crazy Rack was having a decent round until an overextension just inches before capturing point B allowed Zeruhh, Admiral, and Kuffa to pull off one of the most unforeseen clutches of the tournament, which allowed Nightmare to extend point B into overtime.
Nightmare supports. A few meters to go. Admiral gets his revenge. In fact, 2. Admiral? What? Hang on a second. My Lucio? He gets 2. Unfortunately, ends up going down, but their spawn points are pretty damn close on the face of things. Shoes keeping the front line alive. Kuffa taking a couple of punches, a couple of left hooks to the face from Max, but they're holding on to this point. Goes down. Heesang's on the wrong side of the fight. Blade pull from Zeruhh. Nice little slash and dash. Nothing escaping the blade from Zeruhh.
Crazy Raccoon would win the overtime fight, but would be left with less than a minute and a half to finish the map, a nearly identical time bank as the one Nightmare had. Crazy Rack pushed the cart within less than 3 meters of the end, using Shu's Kitsune Rush to try and close out the map. Nightmare, however, was calm and collected, perfectly kiting the Kiriko ultimate in order to contest the payload, blow up Max so hard he was benched for the rest of the series, and win their first map against the Raccoon.
His shoulders, and now we're in OT! Max is also dead! Nightmare, on their map pick, take down the Titans!
Nightmare do something that no team has done before in the Overwatch Champions Series. Crazy Raccoon lose their first map ever to a Western team.
Crazy Raccoon must have been stun-locked by losing King's Row because they took map 3 to New Queen Street, and I couldn't really tell you why. But the Jun Ball was back, and Lip was on Soldier, which tells you this one's gonna be a doozy.
And it gives you easy access to be able to get to the train or get to the corner. That Kuffa's fighting it out the hard way.
Okay, well, not the best start in the world there for Nightmare.
The first 2 minutes were fairly even, with Crazy Rack having a slight lead, but after a continuous back and forth, Nightmare was able to convert multiple fight wins into some meaningful push progress, gaining the lead with 4 minutes remaining.
And this is where Nightmare can actually start to take over this map.
Gaining such a big lead with less than half of the map remaining put Nightmare in a great spot to win the map, especially with Zeruhh pulling off one of the most egregious rally jaxes I've ever seen with only about a minute remaining.
Look, he's hunting for it. He's waiting for the opportunity.
Oh, the rally jacks! Oh, Chorong gets instantly stuck as he pops the rally. Perfect play from Zeruhh.
Look, he's hunting for it. He's waiting.
Okay. Oh my God! What a pulse! Wait, he rayjaxed, or not rayjaxed? He rally jaxed. He raljaxed. That's actually insane.
Control of the robot, they're stuck inside. Pulse is good.
Nice.
Rally jax.
That's actually a game-winning start.
Oh my God! Zeruh's doing it.
A minute and 17 to go. It's Nightmare in full control right now.
This pulse bomb was practically the nail in the coffin, as the final minute of the map was spent with players all over the place, chasing kills and setting up for the final fight, but the touch never came.
Pulse bomb just yet. Oh, they have touch! No way!
How to damage? C9 has C9! Nightmare of one New Queen Street!
I don't know.
What is this team doing? What is this team doing, man?
Wait.
What is this team doing, dude?
Wait. Jake, we need to hit it. We need to hit it. From the front, from the back. We need to be hitting the white boy summer narrative from every side.
Yeah, Crazy Raccoon hit a massive Charlie Niner to complement Chorong's rally oop, sending it into match point, a situation nobody saw coming.
I honestly, well, first of all, apologies are in order. Nightmare, most of us were not familiar with the game.
And just like that, for perhaps the first time ever, a Western team has been up in a series versus Crazy Raccoon, and there was only one map left between Zeruh, Nightmare, and the ultimate upset. Crazy Rack took us to Route 66, where Nightmare would really start to look alive, nearly full holding the map on point A, with CR only capturing the point in overtime.
They got touch. Pulse1 comes out. She's going to have to be a little bit careful now. That railguns aiming straight for his face. Nano boost on Jumbin, but he can't go for a pick. Now he's going to attempt to. As it looks like Heesang's on the point there to contest and make sure overtime doesn't slip away from them again. However, Heesang still ends up going down, but with another nice headshot. And yeah, this rally from Shorong. It's only a matter of time now before they cap the points. Decent trade though.
CR wouldn't have much time for point B, but despite having a Nano Jax force this time and Zeruh getting sticky like Tyler the Creator,
this Prime Raid's going to be pretty easy, trivial even, to deal with. As Jumbin falls, a Nano boost. Oh no! Shu lost Nano! Pulse bomb available too from Zeruh. Ultraviolet does end up falling. They're going to forgo some space just for the time being, but Zeruh's still looking for an entrance, and he gets another stick!
A millisecond late sound barrier meant that Kuffa fell on the recontest, and CR would turn an absolute disaster into a potential map finish.
He's not yet satiated. He's going to dash into the back line, cause a ruckus. But this is looking like a Crazy Raccoon cap here on second. But oh boy, was it a nail biter.
Thankfully for Nightmare, however, Zeruh remembered that he is him and traveled across dimensions in order to deliver this double pulse bomb, setting the stage for the hold.
Zeruh connects with the stick! Zeruh does it again!
To then feed Heesang a gapple, and of course, he leaves no crumb.
Oh, it's so overwhelming. Jumpin is getting a lot of healing though, so if there was going to be a whale, it would be Jumpin being able to get this point.
Oh, it's just so damn good, man! Pulse bomb in hand, he don't need it! Throws it away! Crazy Raccoon halted on third.
Win condition clear, it was now time for Nightmare to mount what they hoped would be the final attack of the match. Nightmare came out with Kuffa on the hazard for the attack and strolled through point A without much trouble.
And just like that, Nightmare capped this first point with barely any resistance, and they've got 4.5 minutes heading into this second point.
Point B was slightly more back and forth, but Nightmare were in the flow state and didn't let the Raccoons halt their progress for long, making it to the final stretch with over 3 minutes on the clock to get the job done.
Nightmare now, they've got 3.5 minutes to get this payload to this final golden box of victory. And they can taste it. They can smell it. There's blood in the water, and Nightmare are going after it.
Being the experienced team of vets that Crazy Raccoons is, they didn't make it easy, extending the map into overtime.
They gotta contest this though. They cannot step off the cart now. Zeruh gets ready with the pulse bomb.
Jumbin's already dead. Pulse bomb in the hands of Zeruh as well. He's looking for a target. Hits the recall fairly early, but Lip's in trouble. Lip is in dire need of help. Heesang goes down. Pulse bomb doesn't connect, but it doesn't need to. Nightmare! What did I just witness?
They got it.
They've done it. They've done it.
Holy shit, dude.
Unbelievable! The game! Oh my god!
Oh my days, bro! Oh my god!
Holy shit!
Someone has to do something! Oh my god! They lose!
Nightmare had done it. They became the first non-Falcons team to win a match against Crazy Raccoon on LAN and reminded the world that North American Overwatch can still compete for the title. A truly unexpected, unprecedented, and unbelievable achievement from Kuffa, Lethal, Ultraviolet, Admiral, and of course Zeruh, who took home one of the most deserved MVP awards of all time for one of the biggest upsets in Overwatch history.
But I mean, Zeruh, there's never been a more well-deserved player of the match than Zeruh. Especially, I love that we saw him at some moments like coming to the player cam during this map, and he was calm. Like, to be putting on a performance like this and to not be getting overhyped, to be staying focused, knowing that a team like Crazy Raccoon, you can never let off the gas. This is what you need to be a championship winning player. Zeruh has always had the talent, but now he's bringing the focus that his team needs.
Oh, what an unforgettable moment. What an unforgettable feeling. I had a good feeling about today going into it, but I never could have imagined a 3-1. I'm so proud of my team and my teammates. We work so hard. Our coaching staff works so hard. We all put in so much effort.
The The community erupted with support for Nightmare, with many still not believing their eyes. So many people thought that the battle for the championship was reserved for Crazy Raccoon and Team Falcons alone, but I think I speak for everyone when I say that I'm grateful to Zeruh and the rest of Nightmare for showing us that there's still hope for the underdogs to punch up. So congratulations to Zeruh and Nightmare on this incredible achievement. We're looking forward to seeing you all do it again. No pressure.
Our goal is to always show good performances like this, and with our strong coaching staff, you will definitely see more results like this in the future.
I'll leave the in-depth analysis to the Tomathans and OCs of the world, and you should really watch these matches if you haven't already, but let's briefly talk about how the rest of their tournament went.
No shot! No shot! Oh my god! Oh my god!
The next match would also be a big one, with Nightmare facing off against the reigning world champions in Team Falcons. Not only was this team also heavily decorated, but it had Proper, who has been regarded as one of, if not the best DPS player in the world, who also happens to be Zeruh's idol. So after taking down the Raccoons and going into a face-to-face matchup against his idol, Zeruh was feeling, well, I'll just let him tell you.
I'm feeling confident as always. I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll be, you know, both teams are very strong, so I'm hoping for a very competitive match versus Falcons.
I totally agree as well, because I talked to Proper yesterday actually, and he also said that this matchup isn't going to be an easy win for the Falcons, and he specifically said that Zeruh, you're a really, really good DPS, and he said he called you, quote unquote, the next generation of DPS players in the OWCS scene. How does that make you feel?
Well, for the longest time now, ever since Overwatch 2's release, and I got to witness him on the Shock in 2022, Proper's been like an idol for me, and to hear praise from him is incredible for me, and I feel like I'm at a point where I'm going from a fan looking up to him to a rival, which is a great feeling.
And I mean, it is happening. You are going up against Proper. Are you nervous at all that you're sort of going up against your idol, I guess?
Never nervous, always confident.
So with the desk and community starting to shift in Nightmare's way, Zeruh certainly had the support he needed to feel confident going into this upper bracket finals match. Map 1 was Lijiang Tower, where Nightmare got off to a rocky start with Proper's Genji and Hanbin's Mauga quickly establishing themselves as problems.
How it's done. Zeruh can't really hack. There's the blade, popped into the backline. Nice little slash and a dash. Oh, and that's a double for Proper. Make that a triple. Make that a quadra kill for Proper.
Round 2 would see Zeruh make a swap to the far, where he would somewhat struggle, but with his backline coming alive, Nightmare managed to tie up the map. In round 3, Stalker decided to take the far duel, and the teams fought back and forth, with Team Falcons coming out on top of what was a much closer and more inspiring first map than Nightmare had against Crazy Raccoons the day prior. Nightmare took map 2 to King's Row once again, and swiftly captured point A off the back of Zeruh, giving Stalker the absolute work. The rest of Nightmare's attack would become more and more of a nail-biter as it went on, with Nightmare barely finishing the map in overtime.
Stalker is so low, can still maybe survive and get back to the rest of his team, but Zeruh finishes him off with just a plain shuriken. Overtime ticking down, and so are the health bars for Team Falcons. There's the completion for Nightmare.
Finishing the map is usually great, but Falcons weren't having any of it, and responded with an absolute steamroll of an attack, finishing the map with over 3 minutes in the bank.
For Team Falcons, and they still have a cage.
Oh, wrong place, wrong time, Zeruh, and he's got the blade. They really, really needed that in this fight, in this defense. Proper just soloing the backline. He just does it again and again and again. There is nothing stopping Proper. There is nothing stopping Team Falcons. A 3-minute 52-second time bank, and they're gonna get a free attack.
With nothing left to do but defend for the tie, Nightmare was hoping for a miracle to walk out of the Falcon spawn room, but all they got was Stalker using 10.1% of his brain to roll out in configuration pound on the Bastion, using the overtime perk system to literally nuke Zeruh and the rest of Nightmare out of the server for the map win.
And that's it. That's just Falcons taking that one. Right underneath their noses. Team Falcons now on a match point against Nightmare.
Nightmare were really hoping to shake up the momentum on map 3, taking it to Runasapi and banning Mauga, only for Hanbin to roll out on the next worst thing. The first few minutes of the map would be close, but after a series of fight wins off the back of Proper doing proper things...
Blade, Terror Surge as well? Oh, that's just the perfect combo. You can't run, you can't hide.
Nightmare suddenly had a hill to climb if they wanted back into this series. They struggled all the way into overtime, making it just one fight away from securing victory, but it wasn't to be, and Zeruh and Nightmare Nightmare would fall to the reigning champs and be sent down to sleep in the bed they made against an angry and vengeful Crazy Raccoons.
Ult dump in the final seconds and 3-0 Nightmare, sending them down to the lower bracket. But for Nightmare, there's tragedy, and success feels insignificant without it. They've still got a chance. They've just got to beat Crazy Raccoon again.
Coming down from the winner's bracket, Nightmare was able to avoid the fateful Crazy Raccoon's Ilios pick and decided to take it to Lijiang Tower and ban the Wrecking Ball in order to give their hazard composition a chance to shine. But in a cruel twist of fate, the Overwatch overlords sent the map to Gardens, where the Jun Ball may not have been able to shine, but the Jun Binston certainly could. Crazy Rack would establish their vengeful dominance early by taking Gardens 100-0.
And it's a 100-0 beatdown. Johnny, I said they'd have to start hot, start with something. They got nothing.
Moving over to Night Market, Kuffa was able to pull out the hazard and Nightmare found some footing, taking the point up to 99%, but failing to secure that last 1% off the back of the Jun Binston and Heesang's Pharah, which would be a thorn in Nightmare's side for the rest of the series.
Ultraviolet low, cleaned up, barrage over the top, and this is Crazy Raccoon taking map 1. Nightmare had a chance in this second round, made it competitive, found a bit of footing in this series, but in the end, it's the Raccoons going up 1-0.
Map 1 not going the way they wanted, Nightmare took Map 2 to their comfort pick of King's Row, but Crazy Rack made sure they wouldn't be too comfortable by banning Zeruh's Genji. Nightmare would attack first and learn just how badly CR didn't want to lose again, as the Raccoons nearly held point A at 99.5% before Lethal clicked a bunch of heads and the point was finally captured.
Another Consumer Rush! Shu is a god, unstoppable, connection though, beautiful, off the blink, from Lethal, dumping damage down, the hit scan, finally coming into effect. But if Crazy Raccoon keep playing this way, Johnny, I am worried for Nightmare.
Although Nightmare finally made it to point B, Heesang decided he'd heard enough Nightmare goat talk and decided to take it upon himself to pour honey all over them from the skybox, ending Nightmare's push early in point B.
Here's Shu with the rally and over the top of the barrage again! Heesang with 4! Refusing to lose, the Raccoons make the hold on second point. It's only 0, but he's not long for this world. And now Nightmare, King's Row slipping out of their grasp. Feels like they have to make a full hold here. They have to hold first, but look at the smiles on their faces. Another day at the office for Crazy Raccoons.
Crazy Raccoons lived up to their name on their attack and came out on a PNHB-inspired composition to achieve positions never before seen, showing off their flexibility to wrap around Nightmare and use their lip to penetrate the Nightmare defense, with the Torb to top things off, giving out backshots until he sang. Crazy Raccoon swiftly captured point A and carried that momentum through point B to send the series into match point.
But man, this map rests on the edge of a knife in 4 minutes? This feels impossible. Here's the beat from behind, Chorong, flanking against Shu again onto Ultraviolet. Caught by the downpour, Zeruhh finds 2. Barrage opportunity, but the wall on point. So difficult to fight into Sim in this spot. And Liv cleans it up on the Symmetra. What can't this guy do?
With Nightmare on the brink of elimination, an absolute miracle would be in order as Crazy Raccoons didn't seem to be lowering their guard whatsoever. Nightmare decided to try and coax Max off the bench by taking map 3 to Circuit Royale in hopes of starting a monumental reverse sweep. And well, this is how it went.
This is a difficult spot for Max now, under pressure, has used form, being attacked, being bashed, being threatened, Zeruhh is low, Kuffa slept, and Nightmare just can't get it over the line, come on! Somebody's gotta find something, players low for Raccoon, low on skills, but even Sim is stepping in to stall the point.
Lethal needs to play here. Can he find it?
Oh, he goes, no way, Johnny, Crazy Raccoon are holding! It's a nightmare for the North Americans, and they fall at the first hurdle. It is so painful.
How does Max not die there on that defense?
Nothing less than perfection required from Nightmare.
Nightmare, everything is so stacked against them.
Oh, Lethal! Johnny, it hurts.
Kuffa throws himself on the payload. Stall it out.
Is there a trade? Hold on. Nightmare. In the end, I think those counter kills from Nightmare are going to get them the opportunity to defend this corner. That is crucial. That keeps them in this map. That makes it possible. Moment of stabilization. Full cooldowns though. 4 Max starting to move forward. Starting to pressure Zeruhh. Caught in the vortex. Kuffa still holding incredibly well with Liv.
Oh, Lethal again.
Insane kill. Kuffa nated. Headshot. And everything's falling apart. Zeruhh, the hero in the moment. The deep flank, the second. Supports him down.
Wait a minute. 3v3.
Surely this is too much for him.
Zeruh's gonna get the blade.
Into the back line.
Oh, he goes down.
But he's done enough, I think. Those kills.
You can't stall it out here. Admiral's gonna get close to the Nano boost here. Kuffa's alive as well.
Zeruhh, the hero that the moment required, kills both supports, denies Crazy Raccoon the easy finish. It's gonna be a fight. Zeruhh has Blade. Such a scary spot to go aggressive though.
Nano Blade here.
Liv finds one again. Undeniable. Zeruhh low, gets the nano.
Needs to make a play.
Come out here. Connection to the back line. Looks for more. Sleep threat. Talked away. He can't quite get there. He's saved. The savior. No. The barrage over the top. Shu stays alive. Liv with another. This man was born to play in the grand finals. Here's Liv now swarmed over by Kuffa. But the guard, Johnny. Kuffa just barely makes it back in time. Annihilation from Max. Kuffa responds in kind. But he's the last man standing. Flanked from all sides, and Crazy Raccoon are going to one more grand finals.
So Zeruhh and Nightmare's Champions Clash story would end there, being defeated by the very giant state slain only a day prior. A bittersweet ending maybe, but putting aside how the tournament came to a close for the team, their rise through the ranks over the course of the last few months has been nothing short of incredible, and should be a testament to the strength of these players and the potential of Western Overwatch to topple the giants of Korea. They can at least have some solace knowing that Crazy Raccoons went on to win the tournament, showing that on the right day, Zeruhh could be a world champion. Nightmare leave China with a 3rd place finish, the achievement of one of the greatest upsets in Overwatch history, and a high price on their heads for any potential suitors that want to come in and take these players to the next level. The future is bright and exciting for these guys, but unfortunately there will come a time for every player when it's time to hang up the mouse and explore other options in life. While Zeruhh and the rest of Nightmare have now faced the toughest competition any of them have likely ever seen, tournaments aren't the only thing that young players need to be prepared for, as esports careers tend to be short-lived, and many pro players recommend receiving an education in order to set up a life after esports, which is exactly what Zeruhh has been doing this year as he joined Winthrop University's esports program. This means that while dominating North America in OWCS and upsetting the current world champions, Zeruhh has also been attending classes, completing schoolwork, studying, and competing for the university's Overwatch team. Saying he has a busy schedule is probably a heavy understatement. In fact, during the making of this video, Zeruhh, Ultraviolet, and Winthrop came runner-up in a collegiate grand finals, losing out to none other than Kuffa, Lethal, and Admiral, who play for Redbird Esports. Something about keeping your enemies close.
It's definitely been a big adjustment for me. During the school week, I'll have like early morning classes where I'm having to wake up at like 8 a.m. ish, and then my scrims will run until like 6 p.m. to midnight. It's and on top of that, having to balance all my coursework with my classes. It's definitely hard. It's definitely taking a lot of discipline from me. It's not the best situation to be in, but you know, I have to do what I have to do. I'd say the biggest pro is I'm incredibly lucky to be receiving an education while playing, while pursuing my passion. For Winthrop specifically, I can't speak for other schools, but the resources that they give us is phenomenal. It's really top level. All the people in the esports program are great. Overall, it's a really good environment, and it helps a lot. I think for the cons, being far from my family, which support me so much, it's definitely an adjustment. It's definitely difficult. And then having kind of a difficult class schedule, it's kind of hard to balance. Don't forget about schoolwork. Get your responsibilities done, and then focus on the game. I think it's very possible to go pro while still doing school. It just takes good consistency and discipline. That's all.
Consistency and discipline are not only what it takes to succeed in school, but they're also required if you want to compete at the highest level of an esport. Those factors aside, even if you don't have access to an esports facility, there are still plenty of ways to improve, and the one that Zeruhh suggests is the one we hear a lot from Overwatch pros. Just play the game and learn from your mistakes.
It's mostly just scrims and ranked. Obviously, VODing helps a lot, reviewing your footage and recognizing the mistakes you make and watching other players play it as well. It definitely helps a lot. I don't do any aim training or custom game practice. Just scrims, ranked, and VODing, I'd say.
You think aim training is a little overrated?
For Overwatch, yes. I think I don't believe in aim training when it comes to Overwatch. I think just naturally playing the game will make your aim a lot better because movement is super important in this game.
Overwatch is such a unique game in the FPS genre, as every hero operates operate so differently from one another that using an aim trainer as a blanket solution tends to do more damage than good to a player looking to improve at the game. Let's take this a step farther by looking at Zeruh's hero pool. As a Flex-DPS, Zeruh is proficient at a wide variety of damage heroes, but specializes in the projectile-based heroes like Genji and Echo. Can aim training help improve your aim on these heroes? Sure, maybe in a raw sense, but these heroes rely heavily on movement and positioning, which simply can't be practiced efficiently in an aim trainer or custom game. Projectiles don't define Zeruh or the Flex DPS role, however, as Flex DPS players often have to flex onto DPS heroes like Tracer, Reaper, Hanzo, and Sojourn, who have historically been in limbo between the Flex and Hitscan DPS roles. The most important of these is undoubtedly Tracer, as she finds herself in the meta more often than not, but it's unpredictable who on the roster will have to pick her up depending on what the meta looks like.
Last year I had a lot of practice on Tracer. I played, dive mirrors versus Toronto a lot. It was very, very helpful for keeping my Tracer in form, but also Pharah was really good hero for me. Playing in the Esports World Cup qualifiers and at OWWC, I played a lot of Pharah, and I think I was definitely the best Pharah in NA, in my opinion, at that time. It's definitely mirror sugar free. Hero I need to put in some work on, maybe I'd say probably Mei. We haven't had a Mei meta in a while, but I'm confident on everything. I love playing Hitscan. In ranked, I play Hitscan a lot. I've always enjoyed playing Hitscan. I think going into Overwatch 2, I really valued flexibility, looking at players like Proper and now Stalker's playing a lot of Hitscan. I really valued flexibility, so ever since Overwatch 2 and even in Overwatch 1, I've played a lot of Hitscan and tried to make sure I'm comfortable on those heroes should I ever need to play them, which I don't think I will, but it's definitely important to me to be practiced on everything.
While Zeruh may be working to improve his comfort on hitscan heroes, it would be remiss of me to not talk a little bit about his bread and butter, Genji. Genji is arguably Zeruh's best hero, with him putting in mega performances against the best Genji players North America has ever seen, like Sugar Free. Zeruh's Genji is arguably what gives him an edge over most of the other Flex DPS players in North America, as not many players can touch Sugar Free's level on the hero, let alone Proper, Heesang, or Leave when it comes to LAN. Having grown up watching Overwatch League, Zeruh got to observe and implement the habits and mechanics of the best Genji players in the world, leading him to adopt a similar playstyle that has allowed him to extract the full potential out of the hero.
I think from the beginning of when I started playing Overwatch, I just remember looking at Genji and thinking he looks really cool and really fun. So I've been playing him since the moment I touched the game. As I grew up and was competing, I loved watching Genji players who were at the top. I remember watching Axel, I remember watching Sparkle, Who Are You, all those players. So I've definitely studied a lot, I've played a lot, and I think overall there has to be a level of talent with the work put in, so I'd say I'm just naturally talented at the hero.
It seems like having a knack for Flex DPS, Genji in particular, is a sign of a star in the making, as we've seen so many players have a similar career path as Zeruh. Sugar Free and Who Are You, for example, were known for their incredible Genji play far before they were old enough to be on an Overwatch League team, but the second they arrived in Tier 1, there was little to no catch-up to be done. Now that Zeruh has arrived in and climbed Tier 1 in North America and made his mark on the world stage, he will have far more opportunities to flex his Genji skills against those players he grew up studying.
I love playing versus Genji players, especially here in NA we have Sugar Free, we have Knife, or Scissors from last year. It's always a pleasure playing versus players in my role. For Who Are You, I mean he's a legend of the hero. He's accomplished so much, so playing versus him would definitely be a lot of fun.
With the recent addition of Who Are You to Genji, it's looking a little bit more likely that we may actually end up seeing those two Genji titans clash later on this year. But while Who Are You and Sugar Free are cream of the crop Genji players, Zeruh has been seen wearing the 2018 Pacific All-Stars skin, which may suggest that he has another player in his sights.
Well, it is a dope skin, but yeah, it is mostly because of Proper. Playing Flex DPS in Overwatch 2, he's always been a player that I've looked at because his accomplishments, especially in the 2022 year, it's very similar to what I'm striving for. I want to win a lot of awards. I want to do well in tournaments. I want to win tournaments and stuff. So Proper is definitely a player I look at for that. And overall, his Genji's been #1 in the world for a while now. So yeah, it is kind of in honor of Proper.
Yeah, totally. Would you say then that Proper's POV is the one that you go to learn the most?
Yeah, definitely. I remember like when I first like started scrimming Falcons, like taking like Tracer duels versus him was definitely like a lot of fun, and like I could tell like how talented he is. For Flex-DPS in general, another player I look at a lot is Heesang. I think Heesang is like really, really good at, you know, Genji, Tracer, Pharah, you know, Echo. He's like great on everything. I think I noticed like a lot of the Korean Flex-DPS have this like hyper flexibility about them. Like Heesang, he can play so much, Stalker can play so much, Proper can play so much. Like definitely like Heesang and Stalker, I'd say, are players I look at a lot and like I respect a lot.
It goes without saying that after the results of the Champions Clash, his idols may have gained some well-deserved respect for Zeruh, having delivered one of them their first loss to a non-Korean team since the inception of the Overwatch Champions Series.
Zeruh is already going to be able to lock down a lot of his fights. The force team Falcons actually play versus Nightmare in the mid.
Oh, there he goes. Taking down the idol and maybe soon to be rival in Proper.
We're now getting down to the wire. 1 minute remaining.
Zeruh pops the blade, same with Proper. He's already found Fielder. Proper ends up getting taken down mid-blade by Zeruh. The apprentice trying to become the master.
With OWCS and EWC taking the main stage for 2025, most competitors are fully focused on making the most out of those events this year. But it's recently been revealed that Blizzcon will return next year in 2026, sparking debate amongst the community about whether or not the Overwatch World Cup would make its own grand return. As many of you know, the Overwatch World Cup used to be a staple of Overwatch esports, but with COVID shutting down Blizzcon for 3 years from 2020 to 2022 and returning for only one event in 2023, the Overwatch World Cup has faded from the spotlight it once occupied, leaving players and fans feeling dissatisfied in its absence. But BlizzCon returning gives the community enough reason to hope for the revival of the Overwatch World Cup, and there's no good reason why Blizzard shouldn't capitalize and bring it back. A return of the format, of course, then begs the question, what would Team USA look like in 2026? You looking to make that team?
Yeah, of course. I think Team USA has always been like a goal of mine ever since I started like watching professional Overwatch and competing. By 2026, I'm hoping the results speak for themselves and I'm able to make the World Cup roster. Obviously, I have my work cut out for me, considering I feel like USA has a lot of talented like DPS options. So just, you know, going to look forward to putting in the work and trying to make the team if it does come back.
Would you be willing to give us a little 5-man Team USA roster of 4 other players that you'd really want to play with?
4 other players that I'd really want to play with. Obviously, Infected for tank. Definitely the North American tank. Yeah, always a pleasure playing with him. He's my best friend. So I want to play with Infected. I'd say for Hitscan, it probably is just Tree. Tree's phenomenal, really good player. And then backline, I mean, I have to put my teammate Ultraviolet. His work ethic is like top level, and I think he's overall just, in my opinion, he is the best. So obviously I'd love to play with Ultraviolet. And then for main support, Vega. Vega's a good friend of mine, and I think he like has a lot more to show, and overall I have like nothing but faith in him. He like performed really well last year, in my opinion. I still think he's doing well.
So here's to hoping for the return of the Overwatch World Cup, and if you feel so inclined, then go ahead and leave a comment with the dream roster you have for your country.
My ambitions as like a pro player is to definitely be the number one. I feel like I'm very young and I have a lot of passion for the game. I want to have a long career, and definitely being the best in the world, it's like a dream. I want it to come true, you know? So I'm working hard every day. I feel like I'm making good progress. I feel like for me, Overwatch has always been a game like no other. I feel like Overwatch is just like there's no other game that makes me feel the same way, you know? Overwatch, like throughout all its versions, Overwatch 1, Overwatch 2, it's a very beautiful game, I think. And overall, it just no other game compares for me.
Have you ever sort of been tempted by any of the quote-unquote Overwatch clones that have come out over the years, like a Valorant or recently like a Marvel Rivals?
I do. I have like played a lot of like Valorant just for fun with friends on the side. Definitely like when it first came out, and like, you know, maybe somewhere down the line I want to like give it a shot. But you know, Valorant's a lot of fun. I just, you know, played on the side. And Marvel, I haven't touched Marvel because I don't want it. I don't want to enjoy it too much and it take away time from Overwatch. I definitely think both games are a lot of fun, and but they don't compare to Overwatch for me.
Overwatch is truly a one-of-a-kind game, with players sticking around through nearly half their life for a shot to play at the top, and dedicated fans who stuck around to support them. It goes without saying that the Overwatch community is the reason that the game is still thriving, and young players like Zeruh get to have their shot at glory in front of an electrifying crowd of fans.
I guess I just want them to know, like, all the support that I've been getting, like, now and previously, it really motivates me and it really means a lot to me. I don't really have anything particularly interesting about me to share, but I hope all the people that support me know that I'm incredibly grateful, and I hope I can continue making them proud of me. Keep supporting us, please, and hope that we can continue to perform and provide entertaining matches, because I know a big thing from the stage was Nightmare were very entertaining to watch, so I hope we can continue to give that to the fans.
If Zeruh's history is anything to go by, you can be sure that he's not pumping the brakes anytime soon. A young player with extremely high potential, Zeruh is beginning to make a case for himself as North America's brightest new hero and one of the greatest DPS prodigies Overwatch 2 has ever seen. And while it would be nice for Zeruh and the organization Nightmare to stick together and continue what has been an incredible storyline, as I said earlier, nothing is certain in the world of esports, and that not only goes for underperforming, but also overperforming. The core of the Nightmare roster have announced that their contracts with Nightmare will expire at the end of April, and they're now in search of a new home. Who's to say exactly where they'll end up, but a good place to look might be one of the 40 esports World Cup teams that don't already have an Overwatch team, or even Team Envy, who seems to be teasing a comeback. But no matter where Zeruh and the rest of the team go, make sure you send them your support as they set out to continue their path of carnage later this year in Saudi Arabia and Stockholm, and keep your eyes on Nightmare to see what they cook up next.
Very much.
And that wraps up our pro player spotlight on the one and only Zeruh. Gigantic thank you to Zeruh for sitting down and chatting with us. We had a great interview which you can catch soon here on the ObsSojourn Productions channel, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when that video as well as future videos drop. Also make sure to follow us on socials, links in the description, as well as Zeruh, Nightmare, and the rest of the team, as I'm sure you'll be seeing all of them much more in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, and hey, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It shows us that you're enjoying the content and gets us amped up to make more. Our team has been working hard to bring you guys some premium Overwatch esports content, but we're always curious to see what the community is hungry for. So if you feel like it, go ahead and leave a comment letting us know what players, teams, or anything else you'd like to see covered by us here at ObsSojourn Productions. That about does it for me. This has been your narrator and editor, ShoddyFlow, signing out and giving massive credit to Unfeatured, Ethan Tilley, and of course ObsSojourn herself for their incredible work and dedication behind the scenes to making this project come to life, as well as every last one of our other projects, of which we have many, like a 15-minute stalker montage and a UU spotlight video, so go ahead and check those out if you haven't already. But that's all I got for you. Thanks guys. Deuces.